Hello everyone, let's see a problem on differentiability. F of x is equal to x square sine 1 by x when x is not equal to 0, and when x is equal to 0, f of x will be equal to 0. So we are finding the problem at x is equal to 0. Let's see what is the left hand derivative. So we have a formula here, limit x tends to x naught, f of x minus f of x naught divided by x minus x naught. So here in the place of x you are substituting a minus h. What is a here? A is this. Okay, 0 minus h. F of x naught. So what is f of x naught? It's 0. So here instead of taking or remembering it as a minus h, here you should remember it as x naught minus h. So you will not get confused. So 0 minus h, f of 0. Now substituting the values of f of x. Here 0 minus h is nothing but minus h. That means x is not equal to 0. So you can take the first condition, x square sine 1 by x. So in the place of x you have minus h. I am substituting in the place of x minus h, and I will get minus h the whole square. Sine 1 by x is minus h minus f of 0. That means x is equal to 0. When x is equal to 0, f of x will be equal to 0, right? Divided by x minus x naught. That is x. Here in this case, which one you have to take? This value which was there inside f of. So here we had minus h, that I am writing minus h. Here in this x, what was the x value? 0. So minus h minus 0 is nothing but minus h, right? 0 minus h minus 0. What is there inside this f of x will be the first x. What is there in this f of x will be the next x. Okay. So now we are getting x square sine minus theta is minus sine theta. So I am writing this as minus sine 1 by h divided by minus h. Cancelling 1 h here, and minus into minus becomes plus. We have h sine 1 by h. Now apply the limit. So when h is tending to 0, this becomes 0. So here you have 0 into a finite quantity, that is between 1 and 1. Any number which is multiplied by 0 is 0. Now let's find right hand derivative. Limit x tends to x naught, f of 0 plus h. Here in the place of x we are substituting with x naught plus h. X naught is 0 as usual. We are having x is equal to 0. That's why we are taking it as 0. If it was x is equal to 1, we would have taken 1 plus h, right? So now here this x we are retaining here minus this x we are retaining here. F of 0 plus h. That means f of h. H is not equal to 0. That means your function becomes f of x is equal to x square sine 1 by x. Next f of 0 is, when x is equal to 0, it is 0. So we are remaining with this much, h square sine 1 by h divided by h. Now limit h tends to 0. H and 1 h gets cancelled here. You are remaining with h into sine 1 by h. Again applying the limit here, h becomes 0. 0 into any number is 0. That means it is equal to 0. We can see that LHD is equal to RHD. That means what is your conclusion? The conclusion is the given function is differentiable. Let's check out Rolle's theorem. According to Rolle's theorem, what does it say? If f of x is a function defined on closed interval a comma b such that there are three conditions. F of x is continuous on the given interval, f of x is differentiable on the given interval, and f of a is equal to f of b, then there exists at least one value of x is equal to c such that a is less than c less than b, for which f dash of c is equal to 0. So here we have a function defined on the closed interval a comma b. This, we can say this function satisfies Rolle's theorem if these three conditions are satisfied. That is, f of x should be continuous, f of x should be differentiable, and f of a should be equal to f of b. Then we will have a value c which is coming in between this interval. So a is less than c less than b, for which this number c, f dash of c will be equal to 0. So in this f of x, if I differentiate this once and apply the value of x is equal to c here, then I should get that answer to be 0. Okay, this we will understand clearly once we start with the problems. Before getting into the proof, we'll understand the theorem using a solved question, that is problems. Verify Rolle's theorem for the function f of x is equal to x square minus 6x plus 8 in the interval 2, 4. So the given function in the interval 2, 4 is continuous because this is a polynomial. Since f of x value is a polynomial, we can say that the given function will be continuous in 2, 4. The first condition is satisfied. Okay. Now we are finding f dash of x. What is f dash of x? Differentiate 2x minus 6 into 1 plus 0. That means it is 2x minus 6. So we are getting a first derivative. That means we can say f dash of x exists in the interval 2, 4. Okay, now we will substitute the value of these intervals 2 and 4 in f of x. Okay, f of 2. What is f of 2? 2 square minus 6 into 2 plus 8 gives you what? 2 square is 4 minus 6 2s are 12 plus 8. 12 minus 12 plus 4 gives you 8 minus 8. Minus 8 plus 8 is 0. Again, substitute the value f of 4. That means here 4 square is 12, 6 4s are 24 plus 8. So minus 24 plus 12, again minus 8 plus 8, again you get 0. So now what can you say? F of 2 is equal to f of 4. That is equal to 0. So f of A is equal to f of B. So this is A and this is B. Interval is always, we are taking it as A comma B, right? So A value is 2, B value is 4. That's why we are taking f of 2 and f of 4. So our condition, one of the condition is also satisfied. So what was the two conditions which was satisfied? Those are f of x is continuous is satisfied, f of x is differentiable is satisfied, f of A is equal to f of B is also satisfied, and if this is satisfied, they are saying that we are having a C which is belonging to this interval and f dash of C is equal to 0, right? Now we will prove this. Yes, therefore f of x satisfies all conditions of Rolle's theorem. Therefore there exists at least one point C which is belonging to the given closed interval 2, 4. Okay, such that f dash of C is equal to 0. Also f dash of x is what? 2x minus 6. So x is equal to C, right? So 2x minus 6. Here if I equate 2x minus 6 is equal to 0, what is the x value? So it is, okay, we will just solve it out. We have f dash of x is equal to 2x minus 6. So if I take 2x minus 6 is equal to 0, what is the x value? X is equal to what? This becomes plus 6. This into 2. 2x is equal to 6. X is equal to 6 by 2. 2 1s are 2 3s are. That means x is equal to 3 is the value. So what did we get here? X, that implies x is equal to 3. So since x is equal to 3, we know x is equal to C, right? So the required value of C which is belonging to the closed interval 2, 4, that is 3 is belonging to 2, 4. Yes, right? Hence the Rolle's theorem is verified. So f dash of C is equal to 0. Apply 3 here. 2 3s are 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. So is this condition also satisfied? Yes, right? Please correct this interval as closed interval, not open interval. This is closed interval. All 2, 4 is closed interval. Okay? These are the three corrections here, here and here. Okay? Now let's see the proof of Rolle's theorem. I hope you understood what is the Rolle's theorem and how we are implementing this in the problems. Okay? Proof, since f of x is continuous on this closed interval, it is bounded in the closed interval a comma b. Further, the function f of x attains its bounds at least once. Okay, since we are taking f of x is continuous and we are saying that it is bounded, we can take that f of x attains its bounds at least once. Okay, so let us take m is the supremum and small m is the infimum of the given function f of x in the interval, in the closed interval a comma b. We are having two cases here. Under the case 1, when n is equal to m, that is nothing but supremum is equal to infimum, what can we say? I will consider the function f of x is equal to m is equal to capital M. That is nothing but I am taking supremum and infimum are equal. That will be a number, right? Supremum or infimum will be a constant number. Say I'll take it is equal to 2. Then f of x is also equal to 2. That is what we are saying. Okay, supremum and infimum are equal. That means f of x is also equal to them. That implies f of a is equal to f of b. A and b are the intervals a comma b. Interval, which interval we considered? A comma b. This is what we are saying here. F of a is equal to f of b. That is, the function f of x reduces to a constant over this interval, and consequently f dash of c will be equal to 0 for all values of x which is belonging to a comma b. That is, we are taking infimum is equal to supremum or supremum is equal to infimum. Then we are saying that the given function is equal to the supremum and infimum. And if this is the case, we can say that f of a is equal to f of b. When this is the case, f dash of c will be equal to 0 for all values of x which is belonging to a comma b. Hence, the theorem statement is proved. This is case 1 when supremum is equal to infimum. When supremum is not equal to infimum, what happens? Since f of a is equal to f of b, at least one of the bounds of m, that is supremum and infimum, is different from f of a and f of b. Yes, since m, that is supremum, is not equal to infimum, we can say that there is one value of this bounds which is not satisfying, and that is giving you this conclusion that m is not equal to small m, that is supremum is not equal to infimum. Okay, so let us take f of a is not equal to supremum and it is not equal to f of b. So since we took the given function was continuous, we can say that there exists a supremum for that function, and we can call it to be c, and this c is belonging to the closed interval a comma b. Okay, so now I am taking f of c. If I do f of c, I will get the supremum of the function. Okay, that is, f of this value c gives me the supremum value of capital M. Further, f of a is not equal to m, not equal to f of b. C is different from both a and b. Okay, so c is not equal to a and b. So c is coming between the interval here, somewhere in between a, b, this c comes. Okay, and it is not equal to a or not equal to b. That is, c is belonging to the closed interval a comma b. Since f of c is greatest value of the function, f of c plus h minus f of c is less than or equal to 0, both when h is greater than 0 and when h is lesser than 0. Since we are taking that f of c is the greatest value of the function. How do we know that f of c is the greatest value of the function? Because here we get the supremum. When you give f of c, we get the supremum. That's why we are saying the greatest value of the function is got by f of c. So f of c plus h minus f of c is always less than or equal to 0 because of this condition. Okay, then that is when both h is greater than 0 or lesser than 0. Thus f of c plus h minus f of c divided by h less than or equal to 0 for h is greater than 0. This value will be less than or equal to 0 for h is greater than 0. This value will be greater than or equal to 0 when h is lesser than 0. So I am considering this is equation 1 and this is equation 2. Okay, now we know that f of x is differentiable on the open interval a comma b. So whenever we are taking differentiability, we can take it to be open interval a comma b. Okay, in particular, f of x is differentiable at c belongs to closed interval a comma b. We are saying that we know f of x is differentiable in this interval, that is nothing but, in particularly if we are saying f of x is differentiable at x is equal to c. The c is belonging to a comma b, we already know that. So keep in mind that when f of x is differentiable, we can say that it is differentiable at a point. That point we are considering it to be c. Now we will take limit h tends to 0 for both these things. Okay, so when we are taking limit h tends to 0 for both equation 1 and 2, let's see what happens. See, we took the limit h tends to 0 for both equation 1 and equation 2. Now if you remember, this is the definition for differentiability, right? Yes, so that means we can say this function is differentiable, that is f dash of c. At c, this function is differentiable. So we can write this is equal to f dash of c, which is less than or equal to 0. Equation 1 becomes this is equal to f dash of c less than or equal to 0. And this also becomes, equation 2 becomes equal to f dash of c greater than or equal to 0. For h is greater than 0, for h is lesser than 0. This was equation 1 and 2. We just added this is equal to f dash of c. Both. Okay, so the above condition holds good if and only if f dash of c is equal to 0. Hence there exists a point c belongs to a comma b for which f dash of c is equal to 0. So this holds good only if f dash of c is equal to 0. Okay, this function or this formula holds good if and only if f dash of c is equal to 0. Okay, so we can say that hence there exists a point c, and we can say that f dash of c is equal to 0. So if you are having confusions, please ask. You can go through the video once again if you have little difficulty in understanding the proof. Let's check out one problem. Show that the equation x cube plus 3x plus k is equal to 0, where k is a real constant, and we are saying this equation cannot have more than one real root. That is what we have to prove. Show that this equation cannot have more than one real root. So reading the whole question, don't get confused. They have just mentioned what is k, then continued. Okay, now it's given this function f of x is equal to 0. That means we can say that this is a polynomial function. Yes, right? So since this is a polynomial function, we can say that it is continuous function. We are considering this is also a differentiable function. Why are we considering it as a differentiable function? Differentiate this. What do you get? 3x square plus 3 plus 0. So we can differentiate that without having this eliminated, right? So this is also a differentiable function. If possible, this f of x is equal to 0, this function, let it contain two real roots. Okay, so let the real roots be x is equal to a and x is equal to b, and we are claiming that these are the two real roots. We have to prove that this function has only one real root. Here we are using the proof of contradiction. Okay, so we will prove that this is a contradiction to the assumption what we have done, and we will say that we have only one real root for the given equation. Okay, since these are the two roots, I can say that f of a is equal to 0 is equal to f of b. So this implies f of a is equal to 0 is equal to f of b. So looking all the conditions here, we can say that the Rolle's theorem is satisfied. This is continuous, this is differentiable, f of a is equal to f of b. So therefore the Rolle's theorem is satisfied, and we have to prove that therefore there exists a c which is belonging to the closed interval a comma b, such that I have f dash of c is equal to 0. There exists a c belonging to this interval such that f dash of c is equal to 0. What was our f dash of c? So we are taking c is equal to x, right, always. So f dash of x. What is f dash of x? 3x square plus 3, right? Differentiating the function, we get 3x square plus 3, right? Now if this is equal to 0, we are considering this is equal to 0, right? Here f dash of c. Okay, when we are considering this is equal to 0, what is the value of x from this? We have 3x square plus 3 is equal to 0. That means 3x square is equal to 0, and x square is equal to 0 minus 3. So this is minus 3 divided by 3. 3 ones are 1s are, so we get x square is equal to minus 1 and x is equal to square root of minus 1 plus or minus square root of minus 1. So what is root of minus 1? Root of minus 1 is nothing but I, right? So can this root of this equation be I? I is imaginary root, not a real root. Real root is numbers which is coming under the real numbers or constant values. Imaginary roots are the numbers which are coming along with the I. Okay, so we have taken these two are the roots and we got x is equal to plus or minus I as the root. That means we can conclude that the given function has only one real root. Okay, so we can say that the proof is a contradiction to the given statement. Therefore, the given equation has only one real root and cannot have more than one real root.
Thank you.